Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Halo Chronicle. Before we get started with today's content, I would like to express my appreciation to everybody who's been watching my content. Last week was my best week ever when it comes to sheer number of views and new subscribers. I really appreciate you guys watching and providing me with feedback. Today's video is going to be part 6 in my Fall of the Forerunners series. If you guys have not seen parts 1 through 5, I highly recommend you go check out those before watching today's video. In the last video, we discussed a series of disturbing events that the Forerunners would make following the Didact's exile. First, the librarian would travel to Path Chthona, where she would discover the horrific events of the Forerunner Precursor War. The Builder clan would discover a series of design flaws with the Halo array that would force them to create a new, more improved Halo array. Shortly after these discoveries, the Flood would make their inevitable return to the Milky Way, causing the Forerunner Council to panic. They would order a test firing of the Halo array, which would reveal some startling results and inadvertently release the Timeless One from its stasis pod on Chiroma Core. They would gather this monstrous creature for study. Now that I've recapped the last video, let's jump into today's material. Following the Halo test firing on Chiroma Core, the Forerunner Council began to rethink their use of the Halo array to combat the Flood. The destruction of the precursor artifacts in the Chiroma Core system was seen as sacrilegious. They believed that the Halos were too powerful and too destructive. As a result, the Master Builder's power and control of the Council began to diminish. This would push the Master Builder to shift his priorities from fighting the Flood to finding a cure for it, so that he could maintain his power and standing in Forerunner politics. Around this same time, the Didact would be awakened from his meditative exile by a young Forerunner named Bornstellar Makes Eternal Lasting on Erde Tyrene, aka Earth. Bornstellar was a young manipular Forerunner of the Builder clan. Bornstellar would be led to the Didact's cryptum by two humans that were imprinted with a specific set of instructions by the librarian herself. These humans would be known as Chalkus and Riser. After a lengthy recovery process, the Didact would recruit all three of them to help him gauge the current state of the universe. Using a Builder seed left to him by the librarian, the Didact would create a powerful new warship. When leaving Erde Tyrene, the Didact would spot several Forerunner ships that seemed to have discovered his presence on the human homeworld, but his ship was much faster, which allowed him to break free and leave the system unmolested. He would then travel to various sites throughout the universe to gauge the progress that was made in his absence. The first place the Didact would visit would be the ruins of Chiroma Core. Upon his arrival to Chiroma Core, the Didact would be stunned by what he would see. The destruction of the precursor artifacts from the Halo test firing would leave Chiroma Core in a devastating state. The Didact and his companions would explore the ruins of this devastated world. They would find the remains of a stasis capsule. The Didact would remember this capsule from the days of the Forerunner-Human War. The Didact remembers images of a horribly monstrous creature that was once trapped within inside this capsule. He remembers a conversation he had with this monster, this primordial. After seeing how surprisingly intact the capsule was, a horrifying thought ran through the Didact's mind. He believes that it is very possible that the Halo test firing may have released this captive and it may be on the loose. He hoped that he was wrong, but something in his gut told him he was right. Following this discovery, the Didact and his companions would travel throughout the remains of the rest of the system to survey the Halo's destructive force. They would find that all the planets in the system were essentially dead or dying. No life remained in what was previously a very lively system. Seeing the devastating power of the Halo array firsthand only strengthened the Didact's opinion that the array was not the best way to combat the Flood. Knowing that the Primordial had possibly escaped, the Didact believed the most critical time in Forerunner history was upon them. He also believed the possibility of capture was high. The Didact would convince Bornstellar to undergo a brevet mutation. This mutation would allow Bornstellar to advance to the next stage of Forerunner development. The brevet mutation would also allow the Didact to impart his personal imprint onto Bornstellar. This would pass the Didact's knowledge, memories, and life experiences onto Bornstellar. By doing this, the Didact was essentially making a copy of himself using this young Forerunner. For compartmentalization purposes, a lot of the shared information would be locked away until there was a genuine need for it. They would then travel to the Sanchayum quarantine system. There, the Didact hoped to speak with some of the Sanchayum who survived the Forerunner-Human War, but he would not get the chance. Unbeknownst to him, the system was controlled by the Master Builder himself. The Didact was lured into a trap. He, Bornsteller, Chalkus, and Riser were all captured by Builder security. The Master Builder came to the Sanchayim quarantine system looking for the secrets of the Flood Cure. Upon arriving in the system, the Master Builder was informed that the librarian had recently passed through this system to index and catalog species. Her visit would spark panic amongst the Sanchayim and lead them to attack the Master Builder's forces. Builder security quickly put down this rebellion and devastated the Sanchayim population with a tremendous assault. The Master Builder would summon his captives and the Sanchayim elders for a brutal interrogation. The Master Builder would remain in a particularly desperate state during this interrogation. He resorted to torture and many cruel acts during this interrogation. The Sanchayim elders were unable to provide the information the Master Builder was looking for in regards to a flood cure, so he turned his fury on the Didact himself. The Didact stated that there was once a Sanchayim he befriended at the end of the war that might be able to give information regarding the flood cure. The Sanchayim elders would confirm that this being was killed in the Builder security attack. The Master Builder would then ask the Didact to provide all of the activation codes for the contender class Ancillus. The Didact, puzzled by this request, refused. This sent the Master Builder into a furious rage. He put all of his captives in pain projectors until they lost consciousness. After his captives had fainted, the Master Builder turned the full force of his fury onto the remaining populations of Sanchayim. He ordered his forces to fire a Halo installation within the system. This eliminated all of the remaining Sanchayim. The Master Builder sent the Didact's two human companions, Chalkus and Riser, to a Halo for further study. Bornsteller was ransomed back to his family for an exorbitant fee. To other Forerunners, it is very unclear what happened to the Didact, but rumors say that the Master Builder ordered his execution. This would not be true. In reality, the Didact would be sentenced to a far worse fate for his defiance. None of the Master Builder's actions were ever approved by the Forerunner Council. It would be the final nail in the Master Builder's coffin. This unapproved use of a Halo installation would politically kill all of the Master Builder's influence and corruption. Many Forerunner counselors would resign in protest of the Master Builder's actions. A new council would be formed. Their first order of business would be to place Faber, the Master Builder, under arrest. He would be tried for crimes against the mantle of responsibility. Sometime after the Master Builder's arrest, one of his most important Halo installations would go missing. This is going to complete today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed today's content. If you did, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and turn on notifications to be notified for future videos. Part 7 will be coming sometime next week and will detail the biggest betrayal in the history of the Forerunner Ecumene. I hope to see you guys there, and as always, thank you for watching.